Hello, and welcome to my lesson plan overview. This lesson is going to cover the legislative branch, and is part of the 3 branches of government unit. Let's jump right on in, shall we? Before we get started with the actual lesson, we will begin with a bell ringer that covers the previous lesson to make sure everyone is ready to move on. This bell ringer will consist of 5 closed-ended questions and should only take about 10 minutes. After everyone is finished, the class will go over the answers of the bell ringer and get ready to move on to the lecture. The main lesson will cover the legislative branch and will be assisted with Google Slides. This lecture will include all of the greatest hits of the legislative branch, such as various committees, the popular vote versus the electoral vote, the upper house versus the lower house, gerrymandering, and much more. This should take anywhere between 40 to 50 minutes, depending on the student's understanding of the material. Once the lecture has come to an end, the class will quickly go over some of the key concepts to better prepare them for the upcoming activity. At this point, students will have the opportunity to ask any questions they may still have, or share any thoughts they have about the lesson. Once the wrap-up has finished, it will be time to move on to the Kagan-structured activity. At this point, the class will be split up into groups of 4. Once the students have formed their groups, they will be given instructions detailing how the activity works and what roles each of the students will need to fill. After the instructions, materials for the activity will then be passed out. This Kagan structure activity is called a fan and pick, and it's very simple to get started. The first thing the students will need is a set of flashcards containing questions that relate to the lecture the students have just heard. One student will receive all of the flashcards and look to the person on their right. This student will fan out all of the cards for the second student so they can pick one of them at random. Once the second student has made their selection, they will then read it out loud to the third student. The third student will answer the question to the best of their ability. Once the student has finished answering, the fourth student will either agree, disagree, or expand on the third student's answer. When the card is complete, the students will then rotate positions and repeat the process. This will continue several times until all of the flashcards have been completed. The great thing about this Kagan structure is that it provides a role for each student and requires input from each student as well. It also gives everybody a turn to fill each role and encourages reciprocal learning. After the activity is finished, the students will be given a quick verbal formative assessment. The assessment will include closed-ended questions such as, what is the name of the head of House of Representatives? And what is it called when a political party redraws a district area? Once the students appear to have a firm grasp of the subject, they will be ready to move on to the summative assessment. This assessment will include a short 500-word paper about the powers of the legislative branch while using at least 4 of the new vocabulary terms they have just learned from the lesson. They will be able to work on this paper with leftover time in class, and they will also be able to work on it from the comfort of their own home. Students will have a week to complete this assessment and will be provided with a rubric detailing exactly what is expected of them. Congratulations! The lesson is complete. The students should now have a firm grasp of the fundamentals behind the legislative branch.
Nice.
Now the students should be ready to move on to the other 2 branches of government. You take care, and I'll see you again next time.